So today I wanted to give my my full review of the Deadeye class and my thoughts so far as a Deadeye main. I want to go over how I think the class could be changed, and I want to go over what I think the class does best and where I think it falls. So we're gonna go over skills that I think are useful and engravings and such. So to start with the skills. If you're gonna, so we're gonna start off with Pistolier first, and then we'll go into Enhanced Weapon. I have not played much Enhanced Weapon, but I can give you my full honest take on Pistolier since this is pretty much what I've mained since I started playing Lost Ark. So, first things first, Spiral Tracker. You're gonna want to, when you get this to the 10, you're gonna want to have Heavy Duty. Spiral Tracker is just gonna be a little bit of your, it's gonna be basically gonna be your constant DPS. It's pretty much something you can just have down all the time. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but when you can have two of them down, you can just throw them down, set it and forget it. It's your off cooldown abilities. It's not really part of your rotation, but it's something that you're just gonna use when you are at a distance or you need to keep DPS on the boss, and you just need to go do something else. So a lot of times I throw this when a boss is doing a mechanic or at the dodge. For example, at the end of the tier 2 tower, the boss, when she stabs the floor and you have to go close to her or distance, I'll throw my spiral tracker and my nade, and I will go over to the spot where I have to stand. Personally, I think that um it's just an okay ability. I would recommend running Swift Fingers so you can get the increased attack speed. Focus Shot, you could argue that Quick Pace is also good. Um, you could run Growth Bullet, but I don't really know that it doesn't really seem that worth it. And Heavy Duty. Now, if you're going for like a more of a Chaos Dungeon build, you might want to run Whirlpool instead. But that's just all personal preference. The only argument that you could make is to run Weakness Exposure instead of Swift Fingers. That is true. You could arguably run Weakness Exposure, and it will constantly proc your like the crit resist debuff on the enemy. Next, the ATO2 grenade. Now, this is going to be pretty much something that is also going to be like kind of like Spiral Tracker. This is going to be proccing generally your weakness exposure, and you're just going to be throwing it every chance you can get. Now, I personally put the bleed rune on this, so it also has a bleed effect, which I think is just great. A lot of times when you're playing Deadeye, if you want to play it at like at a higher level or like at a later game, it seems like a lot of people just run it to be a sustained dot class. And there's a lot of there's a bunch of your things that you can set up just to do that, make that do it really well. And yeah, I think it's just it's just something that just seems efficient. Now you can do what I'm doing. I play pure crit, which also works just fine. Now let's go into it. So weakness exposure, you're pretty much gonna only want weakness exposure on your grenade. This is gonna be how you're gonna proc weakness exposure most of the time, and if you're struggling to keep it up, that's why you would want to put it on another ability. So you're gonna go weakness exposure. This is gonna basically let you, like I said, proc your party synergy ability. This is what people want Deadeye's in the group for. Enhanced grenade. This is just gonna increase your damage. Nothing insane here. Everything else here is just kind of meh. Freeze grenade is really I've only seen it used in PvP. Next, we have the firework, which I have never used, but it throws 3 grenades in a cone shaped area. Grenade outgoing damage, it loses 60%, but total outgoing damage can go up to 20%. So you can technically, it doesn't do a lot per 1 grenade, but if you hit all 3, it actually does 20% more. But I personally think if you're going to use any grenade, you might as well just use internal ignition, where it'll hit and it does blow up on hit, and then it'll blow up again after 3 seconds for 100% of the base damage, which I think this is great. This is pretty much what you're going to use all the time. You're going to throw it and then forget about it. So let's go ahead and just look at these two real quick. So what you're going to normally do is you're going to throw down your 2, your 1, throw down your 1 again, and then proc your debuff on them, and it'll bleed. And your bleeds can crit. So that's generally what all you're going to do is you're just going to throw these and make sure that you always have them up. Okay. Next, enforce execution. Now, I have Vita Point hit, but I will even admit I don't even know why I have this on here because I don't even use it for this. You should realistically only use light footwork. I'm gonna swap that over. I don't know. I had this on for something else. Don't worry about that. Vital point hit. I mean, not vital point hit. Light footwork is gonna let you. It's not gonna knock foes in the air, but it's gonna increase the speed at which you kick, so it makes countering easier. Because you can counter with this, as weirdly as it's phrased. You can counter with this, and then tenacity, so you're push immune when doing it, so that you don't get like knocked up, or if you're trying to dodge a mechanic and you just don't make it out, you don't get stunned into another mechanic or another AoE attack or like effect. Plasma bullet. Now, I personally do not use plasma bullet. I guess, hold on, before we get to plasma bullet, let's just go over a little bit extra of this. Now, personally, I don't use any of the other ones because these other ones don't. This is pretty much just a movement ability. I feel like that's where it's best. You can argue for like chaos dungeon farming. You could argue that you can get some other skills to create a little bit of an easier time, AoEing mobs. But if you're gonna use enforced execution, you're mostly just gonna use it as a movement ability. That is where it best shines. It's where it's gonna do its best work. Next, plasma bullet. Like I said, I don't really use plasma bullet a whole lot, but it's not a bad skill, and especially since I believe it can hit several times. Yeah, continuously inflicting damage. So it is really good. And personally, you can replace, if you wanted to, you could drop Spiral Tracker for Plasma Bullet if you wanted to, but I just prefer Spiral Tracker since I don't have to like set it up. And a lot of times I feel like I miss the Plasma Bullet. Range shot, maybe if you're playing more at a distance, but even generally with Deadeyes, you're gonna be a lot closer. You're getting a lot of back attacks. Make sure that your abilities are just proccing big numbers. That's what we're all going after, right? Attack speed. This one's probably the best. I haven't used Plasma Bullet in a while, but realistically, attack speed's probably the best. So you're gonna probably want to go with quick shot. And I mean, if you need to move back, you could run backstep, but I don't think it's really that useful. Now, I personally, when I ran this, I ran Vital Point Shot. Now this is because I want if you're gonna use it, you might as well make it crit. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to, but if you're gonna use Plasma Bullet, you might as well make it crit, because when it can proc multiple times, so if it's a big enough boss, you can actually make it hit several times, and then the damage starts to add up very quickly. And then crit obviously is 2 times the damage. And then I personally do not run Hypercharge Area. This just felt like it doesn't feel like it would do a whole lot, and it just seems like Plasma Split was just smarter altogether. You also you fire 1 ball in the middle, 2 small balls on the side, and the outgoing damage is increased by 140%. This is what you're gonna want to run if you run Plasma Bullet. It'll save you time, and it ends up doing more damage, especially for proccing Vital Point Shot. And generally, it's just you just want to stack. Generally you want to stack increased damage buffs. Next, Meteor Stream. This is gonna be your big stagger ability. This is where you have most of your stagger, and this is actually a very strong ability. Don't run any of this other stuff unless you're running for chaos, because they don't really work. A lot of times, when you need Meteor Stream, you're gonna use it for bosses. So you have weak point detection. This will increase your damage to push immune foes. You can never go wrong with this. And then Piercing Explosion. On hit, you can ignore foes' defense by 40%. Once again, you can't go wrong with this. Just having increased damage because you're ignoring defenses is always good. Now, this is where we get into player preference. Technically, Bombardment, in a way, is better. But Bombardment takes longer, and it's only about 20% more damage. Now, I personally don't run Bombardment because it is too slow. Bombardment usually takes way too long for me. We can go ahead and look at it real quick. So this is what Bombardment looks like, which is great. But this is why I use Meteorfall. significantly faster for literally 20% less damage. It's not bad. Now, if you're confident with landing your bombardments, then run bombardment. But if I was you, I'd recommend quickly switching over to Meteorfall and just running Meteorfall in general. Now, you can see that I don't run somersault shot. Now, this is because I, like the other movement abilities, and somersault shot only shoots what's in front of you. So I generally don't run somersault shot. It is a fast movement ability though. So if that's what you really want to use, it is a very quick moving mobility skill. If you're gonna use it, I would go with either ignore collision or agile movement, and then master of invasion, and then probably super armor or the double jump if you need to go even farther. But generally, I don't say that you run somersault shot. I say that you run enforce execution, and the next movement skill, will get down to dexterity shot. I believe that those two are better than this, and those two also, one is a counter and the other one is it'll shoot a circle around you, so at least you can hit from any direction while you're dodging. Next skill, arguably, my opinion, the most important skill when it comes to Pistolier Deadeye. Equilibrium. Now, you can see that I'm running a weakness exposure on Equilibrium. You don't need to run that. You can run high speed shot, increase your attack speed. But I run weakness exposure to make sure I'm always proccing my party synergy. Now, if you want to be more of a dot focused Deadeye, you will go into the burn effect, which starts to stack up a lot, considering you can stack up to 7 stacks, doing, at least for this part, 2,883 damage for every for 1 second. For 5 seconds, and it procs every 1 second. So you get 5 ticks of this, and if you can stack up to 7 times, it starts to become a substantial amount of damage. Now, I personally run crit, but that's because I'm an Unga Bunga, and I actually think it works out pretty well. But enemy raid is what I would argue is probably the best chaos dungeon ability on the Deadeye. It is a circle, and it will pretty much wipe out anything that is generally around you at all. We'll go ahead and just use it real quick. This is what enemy raid looks like. It can get pretty quick too if you have increased attack speed. Personally, I run range shot, which gives me increased crit damage and increased attack range. Now, decimation shot is probably what you're going to want to run if you're running the burn effect. It'll increase the damage, but it will shorten the range. So it's pretty great. Now, these two, Vital Point shot only increases the crit rate, which is why I stack it with this, so I pretty much always getting the bonus from this. And the burn effect is just great on its own, like I said. To the next ability. Holding. It's a holding ability, and it's Deathfire. Now, I personally am not really a big fan of this, and I only use it in my Chaos Dungeon setup. What Deathfire does is simple. You shoot in a circle around you, you hold it until you hit the perfect spot, and then you'll do a backflip while throwing grenades on the ground. Now, the reason I don't recommend this for regular builds is that a lot of times, yes, the damage from Deathfire while holding is good, but a lot of the damage in Deathfire comes from the grenades that land. Now, the reason this becomes a problem is because bosses like to move. You don't control the boss. And since they like to move, the grenades don't land. Now, this is great for Chaos Dungeons because it's just generally going to be you, and the enemies like to swarm, and you'll hit all of them, and they'll run into the nades, and then they'll blow up anyways. Now, if you're going to run this, I'm not quite sure what you should be running here, but you could argue probably Swift Fingers, maybe Tenacity. Chain Throw, I would argue, is the best. But, I mean, you could maybe Flame Bomb And then I always run infinite decimation, but I really don't know. I really don't recommend using this ability if you're fighting bosses. It doesn't seem useful. Next ability, this is your second movement ability. This one does not counter like your other one does, like Enforce Execution, but Dexterity Shot. Now this is what you're going to use to get around a lot. And I always use Agile Movement, and I get the movement speed increase. And whenever I get enough skill points, I will get Agile Shot that increases my my combo number 3, so I can go even farther. So this is what it looks like currently. Obviously, it's a little bit boosted because I have no cooldowns on, but yeah. And it shoots, if you notice, it shoots pretty far considering. But you can use it in your rotation as well, since it's pretty easy and it doesn't really have a long recharge time. But pretty much, you're going to use this as another movement ability. Doesn't move you very far, very fast, but it does the job. And I'd argue it's probably one of the better ones for it. It's probably better than Somersault Shot. Somersault Shot, like I said, is really fast though. So depends on really what you want to do here. You could honestly substitute this Somersault Shot for Dexterity Shot, or Dexterity Shot for Somersault Shot, depending on your opinion. I feel like these two are just mostly personal preference. The reason I think I would argue that Dexterity Shot is nice for those because you can apply that DPS while dodging as well. Next ability. So we're starting to get into the abilities that are also kind of like Equilibrium, where this is pretty much what you're going to spam. We get into Quick Shot. Now, Quick Shot, in my opinion, is insane. It's a lot of damage, especially when you get Final Light. I cannot recommend Triple Shot. Final Light is insane. So, I run Swift Fingers for the increased attack speed. There's not with abilities, especially since it's a chain ability, you probably just want to attack faster anyways. Just get it over with. Especially since the last part can take a little bit. Not really a really long cast, but it could feel like you can feel the length. And then I run Initiate Shot. So I don't know if this works with the two, with like the second shot, but I imagine it does. So the damage is gonna get even more insane. So on hit, damage plus 100% to a consecutive hit in 3 seconds. So the next hit is gonna get plus 100% damage. If this doesn't work with this, then you're just gonna run Gradual Devastation. But right now, this one is Initiate Shot is just better. And then Final Light, you add 12 seconds to your cooldown. But on the second shot, you become immune to paralysis against weak point level 1, and it does 600% more damage to foes. And plus you can add it on with Initiate Shot, so that should theoretically be 700% more damage. So I'm just saying, in my opinion, Quick Shot is insane. These numbers get big fast, and so we'll go ahead and look at what it looks like here. So you shoot, and then you go like that, and you can hit pretty big numbers with this. So that's that. Then there's Cruel Tracker, which is another one of these really good abilities. Now, realistically, I could probably take Quick Draw off and run Explosive Bullet, but we'll get down to that. Swift Fingers, attack speed. You don't really need the MP cost, and you don't really need to be immune because it's a really fast firing ability. I run Vital Point Hit. You don't need to run this. You can run Rapid Fire Enhancement for increased damage. I just run the Vital Point Hit because I'm an idiot. And then Quick Draw. This just makes it so the second attack, it makes it so it's fast. It can be used twice, and it gets 40% increased damage. This is what it looks like with Quick Draw. So, I mean, it's pretty nice. You can't really go wrong with this. But arguably, the next one over is better. Explosive Bullet. It becomes an explosive shot, and it gains weak point level 1, and it does 140% damage to nearby foes. It's slow moving though, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and a lot of times it hits mobs, but it'll hit for a lot bigger. Let's go ahead and get a crit. 703k. So arguably it is better, and this is probably what you should be running, but I run Quick Shot because That's what I do. Now, let's say that you're running all of this. You're comfortable with whatever pistolier build you're gonna go. Let's talk about stats. So, stats generally, you're gonna want high spec because it's gonna increase your skills crit damage, your handgun skills crit damage, and it's going to increase your awakening skill damage. That's just, it's a given. Now I run crit. You can run a little bit of crit. So the way it seems is this: you want to run really high spec, and then you're just gonna want some crit and some swiftness. And I have no swiftness here because I don't really need it right now. But later on, you're gonna want, like for example, if we were to look at it, let's go into the stats here. You have 2400, so you're gonna want whatever you can get max spec. And you're gonna say that means you want like 300 crit and 300 swiftness. Now this is what you want. This will give you the biggest numbers. You know, you'll get the biggest numbers. Your crit rate is pretty high considering. And you can stack even more crit. So right now, my crit with this, your crit rate's only increased by 10%. Plus whatever your set bonus is. So right now I have 25% crit rate. Plus the bomb on them, which I believe increases your crit rate by 10%. And then I heard, but I'm not quite sure if this is 100% true, but back attacks increase your crit rate by another 10%. So right now that's only at 45%. We can get that even higher through other means, such as engravings. Now, you don't need to run grudge if you're a Deadeye. You don't have to. Like I said, if you want to, you could arguably say that your crit could be, if you really want it to be, your crit, you could take the 300 out of this. You could take it all out of this and add it back into this, and your crit will go up to 21%. And then you can, whatever your set bonus is, like mine's 15%, so that's already 36% plus the thing, which is 46, plus all the extra buffs that I'm providing myself. It starts to go up a lot, especially with the bonuses like Vital Point Shot and such. It's really, it's fine. And the numbers are going to get big and they're going to be insane. So, that's really up to you. Now, let's go into engravings. Now, you don't need to run grudge. It's just going to always be nice to have. You're already squishy as it is. Grudge is not needed. Keen blunt weapon is going to be one of your big ones. 50% crit damage is insane. Especially since if you're going to be critting all the time, and that 20% does happen, it's not gonna matter. Pistolier is maxed out here only because I'm obviously running Pistolier. If you're gonna run Pistolier, you might as well just cap it out because it is actually a significant amount of damage. 30% more damage from level 1, and it's just generally 15% extra skill damage. Ambush Master, this is really important. But you can change this out for the other skill that says as long as you're not getting head or back attacks. It makes it a little bit less worrisome to be getting back attacks, because then you're not like sitting up here, the numbers speak for themselves, but it's pretty important. Now, other engravings. Well, the other engravings you could be running are, let's see here, let me just make sure I'm right. You could run Vital Point Hit. No, it's not Vital Point Hit. Sorry, don't listen to that. Wrong one. Let's see, where is it? Curse Doll. Curse Doll is fine if you're okay with giving up the healing. Curse Doll will always be fine if you're okay with giving up the healing. And then, where is it? Adrenaline, if you want to counteract and get more extra crit rate. Adrenaline is great. Seriously, guys, if you really need the crit rate, do not be afraid to run things that give you crit bonuses. Adrenaline is one of the big ones, and I believe it counteracts grudge. You're not losing as much, if I'm correct. Even if it's not, it's fine. And then Spirit Absorption also works. Spirit Absorption will give you, you know, the extra move speed and attack speed, and you can combo that with Raid Captain if you really want to. And then I believe there is one other one. Precise Dagger. You can increase, you know, you can run Precise Dagger with Keen Blunt Weapon, and they'll just counteract each other, and then you'll be fine, getting that extra 20% crit rate. That is mostly all I have to say for engravings. A lot of the engravings end up being the same on most classes, except for Berserker. They're like running Master's Tenacity. Just use your judgment wisely when it comes to engravings. Now, Enhanced Weapon. I'll be up front with you guys. You guys that are playing Enhanced Weapon, I have not played a whole lot of them. But I know generally the idea. So, with Enhanced Weapon, you're pretty much only going to want Tier 1 of Enhanced Weapon, because it's going to give you 20% crit rate for swapping weapons. So, why don't I want more? Well, you can see that it has diminishing returns. You get flat 20% for just, you know, swapping. Then you start going down to 25% for, you know, just going tier 2. And then 30% only for going tier 3. It's not worth you putting in the time and going to tier 3. Just keep it on tier 1 and you will be fine. Second, what engravings am I going to be running, since we're already in the engraving section? Well, it's simple enough. So, you're going to be running, I believe what I've seen is a lot of people running either 3 golds or similar effects. So, with this, what you're going to want is I'm not going to swap all the abilities around, but I can give you an idea of what you're going to want right now. Now, as for crit rate, you're gonna have to probably spec a little bit more into crit for this, since you only got 21%. You get 30% with the grenade, and then add on, you know, extra little bit of things. But ignore that for now. We'll just say that you're doing fine with crit and you have high spec, because a lot of the shotgun's damage comes from here as well. So, what are the skills I'm gonna want to run? Well, simple. Sign of Apocalypse. This is guaranteed. You're gonna run this. Sign of Apocalypse. Let's go ahead and stack it up here. I'm just gonna stack up. Basically, when I played shotgun, these were all level 10 weapon. So, you're gonna want close shot. You just look, if you're gonna run shotgun, you have to be running this extra for close range foes, 20% extra damage, and then you're gonna want enhanced shot to add on to this. So now we're at 50% extra, right? 50%. This one's the close foes. It's just close foes. This one's just for being close. And then Approached Apocalypse. Now you could argue that Aftermath of Calamity would be fine too, since it increases to 3. But I would say Approach Apocalypse, since it can be a long ability, since it's a combo ability. Hour of Judgment. You're gonna want probably Quick Prep, just because you want the cooldown to be increased. Final Verdict. Oh no. Prison Sentence. Sorry, I forget this was just the skill. It'll increase the explosion damage to 360%. And then you're gonna want Enhanced Fragment for the extra 50% damage. Shotgun Rapid Fire, close shot again. You have to go close shot. Enhanced Shot, you have to do that as well. That's Special Bullet. These 3 are just gonna make it so you're constantly just doing extra damage. Then Shotgun Dominator. You're gonna want close shot again, weak point detection, and the ruler. Now, some people do like to run Last Request, and that is personally up to you. I personally don't have a lot of experience with this one, but you can run Volley. I know this one's good. So, with this, you're obviously gonna throw down your things, stack up your crit buff, and then you're gonna blow all of your cooldowns, and you need to make sure that you are point blank, because if you're back here, it's only 196,000 on a crit, but if you're up here, it's 629,000. So once again, back here. Well, back here. Hold on, let's get a crit. 561,000. This close. Get a crit. That didn't proc the big number. Oh, well. I guess it doesn't matter as much with Hour of Judgment here. Yeah. This one doesn't. I guess this one doesn't matter because it is a traveling projectile. So, shotgun rapid fire. You're gonna want to be right here. And same thing with shotgun dominator. Since you pretty much become a melee class. That's one of the big things that a lot of people don't understand with Deadeye, is that you are a melee class. And make sure that you're swapping. Now you can use your rifle abilities, to like, you know, for like stagger and such. If need be. But a lot of times you're mostly just gonna be swapping between your pistols and your shotguns. This way, you're constantly getting the bonuses. But that is mostly just my opinion, guys. This is kind of what I've got and pieced together from playing the class. Now, do you need to be running this? Absolutely not. And you know, you need to pick and choose what build you want to do, and like, you know, just think about how you as a player want to play. And that's mostly it. Like, I get where a lot of people are at, and a lot of people like look at this class and they don't want to play it, and I completely understand. This class is very lackluster, to be honest, when it comes to comparative other classes in Lost Ark. A lot of the damage and a lot of the effort that you have to go into is going to be attacking from the back all the time, non-stop. You're pretty much always going to have to be getting back attacks, and you're always going to be playing close range, especially if you're going to go enhanced weapon. But if you like the class and you're ready to commit the time and the effort that goes into playing this class, then go for it. But just know that a lot of the rifle abilities aren't going to be used. They're just not worth the time. They're fine if you want to, like, you know, weave them into your rotation if you're running enhanced weapon. But you're going to be pretty much only relying on the shotgun abilities and some of the pistol abilities. But yeah, guys, that's just my personal take. I've played a lot of this class, a lot of it pistolier. You know, just, you know, dodging around, throwing grenades, and I've cleared up to I've done everything up to the point of the item level that I'm at. Yeah, guys, that's just my opinion. Like I said, don't go ahead and just, like, you know, don't take my exact word for it, but, like, you know, try everything and see it, experiment, you know, try things out on your own, see what you like, see what you think. You know, don't just watch me, watch everybody. If you want to watch, the only one I can think of is if you want to watch Pistolet gameplay, watch Handgunners TV. But other than that, like I said, just form your own opinions. Yeah, guys, I just wanted to share, like I said, my thoughts on the class. I think it's a little lackluster, like I said. Its risk really outweighs the current reward that is in the game. But that'll hopefully be getting changed this year. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys, you know, if you are playing Deadeye, I hope you guys are having fun with the class. And I hope, even if you're not playing Deadeye, you're having fun with whatever class you chose. And yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching, and have a good night. See ya.